All right, y'all, today we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check it out, check out its local search, check out its city search, see if it's got BSS. All right, so we're back in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pin video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent. Basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if it's if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest intent people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to the money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we got one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're going to really never get looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof, or down through the floor, and kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no, that's BSS. We cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile and their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition, page 1 organic slots away from us. And or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, they're still earning money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people to say that they now for boudoir. But what that does is increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So it makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically, everyone knows that. Basically, nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had their slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and got pushed off to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. This is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or, that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. That, okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, a boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So, disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper, and approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us, and that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if we got 1 slot on page 1 on Google, we're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because a disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up where the disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. So that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one on Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, the small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one on Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly. And those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google to happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because dude, we're in the AI. Dude, AI taking people's jobs. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see. S-cubed methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their website saying they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're literally taking out the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us, and whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is why I said the S-cubed methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than brand. And in my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster normally because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we got multiple slots on page one Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, where if they stay there, they're eventually going to exit, be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using S-cubed methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one on Google comes in. So the GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google because basically every other boudoir photographer page one on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots or 1 slot. So if we see 3, or if a buyer sees 3, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC Universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10 page 1 on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, you know, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but at least we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 in the false belief, page 1 equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page 1 Google as possible. Let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So, dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. Now, main event here, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business, see if they got BSS for either their local search or their city search, and see what's going on. So we're going to Carefree, Arizona, and here in Phoenix, Arizona. Carefree, Arizona. All right. Boom, we got 1. And let's see. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. And boom, we got 4. All right, so we got 4 out of 10 for local. Awesome. Let's go to city, Phoenix. Way harder to rank here in Phoenix. Let's see, we got, because it's a much larger area, way more competitors. Let's see. All right, right, 0 out of 10. All right, so for city, or for local, we're at 4 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. And so we do not have BSS. We've hit the GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. That's good. So dominating local here. City, we got 0 out of 10. So we do have BSS. So we're at 0 or 1 slots, page 1 Google search. And basically, we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. All right, so you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local searches, you've done your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, and you've had 0 or 1 slots. So you've had BSS for at least one of those, and or you have not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google for any one of those, and you've accepted the false belief of page 1 equality. So you actually know Google wants to give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to take. And your CNS-cube methodology is the only way forward, the only path forward to acquire all those slots. It's actually, you've been waiting for something like this. And you're liking the initial benefits of S-cube methodology, more slots, page 1 on Google. You really like that page 1 on Google. You actually really can kick your competitors off page 1 on Google, effectively making them invisible or making them disappear and making their business go down the path to disappearing. So you really like that. And you actually want, actually looking ahead because you understand market saturation and you're realizing that AI is going to be taking more and more people's jobs. So not only do you need these slots on Google, you actually need to overslot on Google. You need to fortify your position for all of the new boudoir photographers that are going to be entering the marketplace. And as a result, the only solution you can see that'll help you fortify your position on page 1, literally get like so many links to page 1 that Google can't even rank all your links on page 1, and they push you back to taking over page 2 and 3 and 4 because you got so many page 1 backup links. The only solution you see that can provide that benefit is S-cube methodology, basically like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's below sea level, so fortifying it against the ocean. You're fortifying this against current boudoir photographers getting anywhere on page 1, and also any future boudoir photographers or AI is taking their jobs, force them to become boudoir photographer, ever ranking page 1 as well. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility, You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility because you know you need these things on your way to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. You also understand SQ methodology is basically building invisible thematic keyword columns on the, kind of out in cyberspace, basically in the AI mindshare in cyberspace, kind of have these columns connected to your brand, your business name, your social handles out there in cyberspace where AI really cares about, repetition, relevance, frequency, authority, age of all these invisible thematic keyword columns. And every day we successfully execute SQ methodology and grow those columns, increase those columns. We're increasing the probability we show up here, AI overview, which means we're also increasing which is the most premium search placement there is. Cannot pay for this. And we're also increasing the probability that AI search recommends us. And we don't get any of these benefits paying for any ads. This is only through S-cubed methodology. And increased probability AI search recommends us. And that'd be things like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, kind of increase in probability we show up in these searches, which these searches increase every single day in usage. I remember the last time I searched ChatGPT for boudoir photographers in a city, it gave me 3. And I actually went and did a manual Google and search and Facebook search. And dude, there's like 60. It's like, man, we got to find some way to get one of these 3 slots. And yeah, SQ methodology is the only solution you see out there that does increase that probability every day that we successfully execute it. And you're also liking that, it can help you create a large, well-known brand, approximately 8x faster than every other method. So market saturation becomes less and less a problem for you. And imagine if you continue using SQ methodology when you have a large, well-known brand, essentially be, unbeatable. And you also understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. And so as a result, you're liking that you can get all these benefits, but also exclude your competitors from getting all these benefits. And you can actually build up, you can kick them off their first pages, Google, fortify page 1 against them to never actually increase, never actually get back onto page 1, essentially. And you can also build up such a large kind of gap with the backend AI mindshare with those keywords, those invisible thematic keyword columns, that your competitors in the city really have no chance to ever catch up to you. So you decide to be a first mover and actually acquire all these things, all these benefits, and exclude your competitors from getting all these benefits. And you understand the converse, where if one of your competitors in your city was a first mover and signed out with me before you, they'd be getting all these benefits. You'd be kicked off page 1 on Google, maybe even page 2, relegated, way deep in the catalog. Definitely be disappearing. You would definitely be a disappearing boudoir photographer. We'd then be fortifying it, page 1 against you ever climbing back on there. We'd be building the backend AI keyword mindshare for your boudoir photography competitor in your city, building up their brand, building up a gap so large that basically no other competitor, including you, could ever reach them. And in order to compete with that, you would have to rederive SQ methodology all on your own. And once you rederive that all on your own, you'd never actually be 100% confident you derived it correctly. You would actually have to then go successfully execute every single day, same as us. And then when you do that, the most that you would get is you would maintain the gap me and your competitor have already built in front of you because you'd be equaling our output each day. So you'd have to actually 2 to 3x our effort every single day, but it'd be hard to commit that much time because, again, you're not even 100% confident you've derived the strategy correctly in the first place. And, to do all this, who's got 80 hours in the day? So you're deciding, screw that. You decide you're going to be the first mover in your city. And as a result, that's you. Shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed because the hospital is currently closed for new patient intake. But when the hospital does reopen for new patient intake, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize our S-cubed methodology.